Recording. And so, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy Friday before the long Memorial Day weekend. This is our 10th engagement meeting, and today is May 23rd, 2025. Our presenters today are myself, Eugene Howard. I'm the Technical Assistance Unit Manager. I'm joined by Mitch Hendrick, our Planning Grants Unit Manager, my colleagues Hannah Van Nimwegen, who is our lead for parking and accessory dwelling units. We also have Mark Williams here, who is our lead on affordable housing planning. And should there be questions related to any of our strategic growth or neighborhood centers work, Nathan Lindquist is here also to address any questions we may have. Just as a quick reminder, a few of these will be reminder slides for folks who maybe haven't joined us in a while or maybe who are new today. But the meeting format follows this general outline. We will start with some updates on the programs and things in the works. We'll segue into talking about transit-oriented communities and updates related to that law. We'll go into parking and accessory dwelling units to share information related to those two laws. Then we will go into housing planning and discuss some of the displacement strategies and things related to affordable housing planning. And again, we might have just a very brief update on neighborhood centers of strategic growth. And we'll conclude with updates on our grant program. And then that concludes the main portion of today's presentation. But we do have a special guest who is planning to join us today, Jonathan Moore from the governor's office. And so John will be joining us during the Q&A portion of today's presentation. So stick around for that. We encourage you to do that. Ooh. Uh, just as a reminder, we love getting your questions and your feedback and your input. The work that you all do with us really helps inform the tools and the guidance documents that get prepared. And your questions are really critical in helping us understand the needs at the local level and how we can all work towards successful implementation of these laws. As I mentioned a moment ago, this is being recorded along with past webinars so that we can post them to our Land Use and Housing DOLA website for later reference. That website, which will be mentioned a few times during today's presentation, is really a great resource where you can go and find information related to the laws, tools, and resources to help with local implementation. So we really encourage you to come visit that site on a regular basis. And you can see for those who are joining us with a screen, you can see the link to our website here at the bottom of the page. And also these slides will be shared with you after the fact. So don't worry if you're trying to write things down, we will make sure that this information is shared with you. Uh, During our meeting last month, we covered a number of different updates. I'll try to go through this pretty quickly. But just as a reminder, in April, we did share updates on the new and enhanced website. We talked and asked for volunteers to help us in the design and development of our reporting portal. So thank you very, very much to those of you who were able to participate in that. Also, we are in the process of finalizing some template slides that really at a high level go over the details and the nuances of the laws, and those should be coming out soon. But we mentioned those last month. We also then shared updates to our technical tools related to the transit-oriented communities law, shared updates and reminders related to parking and accessory dwelling units. One question that we're getting quite a bit, and Hannah will be speaking a little bit more about that today, is how a local government or local community can become a supportive jurisdiction voluntarily. We've got a number of you who have asked what that process entails, and so we'll revisit that again today. Mark will give updates related to affordable housing and the action plans and housing needs assessments work that's underway. If need be, Nathan is here to address any neighborhood centers or strategic growth questions. And then Ashley, perhaps with Mitch, or this was last month, sorry. Ashley did provide us with information related to the grant application that was underway at that time. And so this month, We are going to continue to provide more updates related to that information. We're really excited to talk about and announce the status of the reporting portal. We do have an upcoming training in about a little less than a week. So next Wednesday, May 28th, I'll have more on that in a moment. We'll touch briefly on the executive order that was released a week ago. With regard to that, there are still a lot of unknown questions or answers to questions. So we're in the process of working with the governor's office and other department staff members and really kind of dissecting and getting into some of the details related to that. There are a few things that we are going to share today. Encourage you to ask us questions because that helps us understand what questions you have so that we can formulate responses to those. I'll provide a few updates on our transit-oriented communities law. Again, turn things over to my colleague Hannah to give updates on parking and accessory dwelling units. Mark will give us new information related to the housing planning work that he's leading. I already mentioned Nathan is here if we have questions related to strategic growth and neighborhood centers. And as the slide says, Mitch is here today to share updates related to the grant programs. So just again, as a reminder or a little bit of information, the work that we are here to discuss today is really related to the work that was passed by the legislature in 2024. So residential occupancy, minimal parking requirements, accessory dwelling units, our transit-oriented communities, and of course, affordable housing. So we are working in partnership with a number of our fellow agencies here at the state to really help with the implementation and looking at helpful and valuable resources and helping us all work with these laws and working towards compliance and implementation. Another quick reminder, if you are curious whether or not your community or local jurisdiction has to comply with the laws or which one of those laws pertain to you, we have put together a great resource. It's both web-based as well as in a downloadable spreadsheet, but it's really our multi-law applicability resource, which you can find available on the main page of our land use and housing website. Sort of in the middle of the page, so you might have to scroll down to see it, but it's pretty prominent on that main page and is meant to be a resource to help you understand exactly which of these laws pertain to your community. This is how our new website is presented. If you haven't visited in a while, we encourage you to do so. We've streamlined and really tried to organize information in a helpful, useful way. So the information on our website is organized by the laws themselves. We've got a number of frequently asked questions that we're continuously looking to update. So if you have a question and you think it might have been asked or answered already, we encourage you to check those out. And if you don't see the response that you're looking for, of course, reach out to us. We're more than happy to help. We're taking in quite a few questions and really engaging with local communities right now. So happy to continue that work. We have some tools and resources available, guidance documents, helpful hints, things like that you can find. As I've mentioned previously, you can find past recordings of our webinars posted on our webpage. And this is also a way that you can reach out to us to ask for one-on-one meetings or information, the consultation with us, of course, and to ask questions. And we've been doing this work and really thank those of you who have reached out to us and encourage those of you who maybe have some questions sort of lingering to just give us a shout and we'll be more than happy to help. This whole process has been informed through advisory groups. Many of you online today have been a part of those, and so we really are extremely grateful for the support that you've provided us as we all are working together to understand and decipher what the laws mean, how they pertain at the local level, and so really, really appreciative of that work. You've all helped us with our tools and resources. We get a lot of information and a lot of helpful dialogue through our technical assistance and one-on-one meetings. So really encourage you to continue reaching out for that level of support because us helping you is you helping us as well. We've been providing a number of courtesy reviews with different communities. whether that be your housing opportunity goal calculations that you're working on, or maybe you're updating code language. Our colleagues online here have been really, really instrumental in providing feedback to those of you who have reached out and shared even draft language with us. And that is something that we're happy to do. So do know that we're here to support you. We have also uh, given presentations on different topics. We're happy to do that as well. And of course, our online engagement opportunities, which have been mentioned already this morning. Now, one of our really exciting updates is related to the reporting portal. So I'm going to walk through some high-level sort of introductory slides just to show you, if you haven't had the chance to log in just yet, what you should expect upon that initial login. Most of you who have been a part of our process or who have been engaging with us through these webinars and our state, or excuse me, local community employees with a local community email address have been added to the portal. So hopefully you've gotten that notice. But if you haven't, no worries. We'll talk about how you can request access to the portal or ensure that you are in fact registered in the system. So we love our acronyms. We've got another one that we like that we're going to add to the Housing Opportunity Goal, or HOG, and that is LUHIP. And that stands for our Land Use and Housing Implementation Portal. So again, don't worry about writing down the URL. We'll send this out and make sure you have access to it. So when you do use the URL, you'll come to a page that looks similar to this one here on the screen. It's a really easy and hopefully very intuitive site to use. It does require that you have a local government issued email address to access the portal. Personal or Gmail accounts are not um, uh, programmed into the website, so we want to make sure that folks who are in the system are in fact our local government partners. So you'll see I put in my email address, so you'll simply put in your email address and hit the submit button. This is a passwordless system, but it will generate a code. So it's two-factor authentication still, but you don't have to worry about writing down or creating a password or having to remember what it was or how often to change it. We tried to make this login process really easy and seamless for you. So you put in your email address, you hit the submit button. You'll see another screen that pops up asking you to confirm your identity using a 6-digit code, and you will find that code in your inbox. It will be emailed to you. The system is set up to do this. So the image at the top of the slide here is what you might see in your inbox waiting for you. It is a do not reply type email address, so don't worry about trying to use the link for anything other than getting the code. At the bottom of the screen here, once you click on your email and open it, this is an example of what that may look like on your end, on the receiving end. So you'll see the 6-digit code. You can type it in or you can copy and paste it in, which is what I did here. So you put that in to the 6-digit code screen, hit the submit button, and you'll then enter the portal, and it's set up to show you what we understand are the laws that apply to your jurisdiction. So this is an example from a Denver login. Denver has quite a bit of things available to them, and so you'll see all the forms and laws that apply to your jurisdiction will automatically be here waiting for you. So we didn't want you to have to worry about trying to find which one or that sort of thing. So we try to make it easy for you or anyone working with you to understand which laws and which reports are available. Before you get started, another helpful piece of advice that we received during our consultation with local governments is, hey, wouldn't it be great to know in advance what the forms in the portal are going to ask of us? So we thought that was a great suggestion. And so in the red box here, you'll see there's an interactive link. And if you click on that link, it actually will take you to a page where examples of all the forms exist. These are PDF documents, and so on the left-hand side of the screen here is what you'll see if you click on that link. And you'll see the list of the various reporting documentation that's here listed for you. If you click on one of these hot links or hyperlinks, you'll then get presented with a PDF version of the online forms. And we thought this was a great suggestion because it does allow you, before you actually get into the work of the portal, you can go through and sort of prepare your answers or your responses, get a sense of what the portal is going to ask of you in advance of actually then going in and using the portal itself. So for those of you who like to sort of do your work on the side, just to make sure you're all ready to go, this is a great way for you to access that information and understand what the portal is going to ask for. And you can get that sort of homework done in advance. And so once you feel comfortable and you're ready to go into the portal itself and provide your information, simply click on the report that you're interested in responding to. I am going to click on the ADU main review checklist as an example. Once you click on that, you'll see the form show up, and it's all web-based. And so it looks something like what you see here on the screen. One of the other great things that we really like about the portal is on the left-hand side, there's sort of a progress tracker. So as you're going through and filling out the information on the screen, you can kind of see exactly where you are and about how far into reporting you are. So we're really excited to have that there. It's probably becoming a standard for most of us when we all go visit different websites. And so we wanted to make sure to bring that feature forward here as well. Now, if you have questions or you're not sure exactly what a particular question is asking of you, we do have contact information at the bottom of the screen for each of the reports. So you can reach out and get assistance as you're going through filling in your responses. If you have any questions related to, hey, I need a new user, or can we add another person, or I'm not really sure if this button did what I was expecting it to, we do have a way for you to report any kind of issues or to make other requests or changes to who's working on this work with you within your local government. So there's another link here, a response form, and if you need to use that, you click on that and it looks something like this. So again, it's an opportunity or a way that you can request a new user. It's how you can maybe make a change to an existing user. Maybe someone's been promoted and they're no longer going to be doing this function. And so you want to transfer that responsibility to another person. This is a way that you can do that. Or again, if you run into any kind of issues or questions or something didn't quite work the way you thought, we'd love to hear from you. So clicking on that will launch this Google form. It's only a page or two. You can provide us with the requests or the information and then submit that. And that does find its way back to us, and we will take care of that as quickly as possible. I mentioned this at the onset, but we are offering a more formal training of the portal to walk it through with you. That training will take place next Wednesday, May 28th from 11 to 12. I'm going to say Mountain, although I think we're all here in Colorado, and it will be conducted via Zoom. Earlier this week, did send out a quick little brief reminder of this training with the registration, but should you need it, please let us know. Maybe we can drop it in the chat before today's presentation concludes. And we'll make sure that it also goes out with the follow-up. The follow-up might not come out before the training, so definitely make sure if you'd like to attend or want someone in your office to attend that they register in advance. So, moving on to another topic that we're really excited for, and this is our 5-year land use survey. Now, this is separate from the work and the laws that we've been discussing today so far this morning, or that we will continue to talk about. This is really our touch point with each of the local communities throughout Colorado. We do it on a 5-year basis. It's a survey that really helps us understand what's going on in your local community, and it helps us understand how we can develop programs to support you all at the local level. So it's really, really, really useful for us for you to take 15, 20 minutes or so of your schedule to fill out this survey. We only conduct it every 5 years. So really, really encourage you all to find a little bit of time, maybe do it during a break or during your lunchtime, to really help us understand how we can help you. We're doing this survey this year in partnership with CML, CCI, and the Colorado chapter of the American Planning Association. And the one thing that I was really excited to learn is that we've been conducting this survey every 5 years since 1976. So because of you who have filled out and provided information, we can kind of see the long-term trajectory of our state. And it really does help us with a lot of planning and prioritization for funding and support. So again, really would love to see us get close to 100%. And if you haven't seen this link, or maybe it gets sort of lost in the shuffle, I do think we'll be sending out reminders. We have a person on our team that will be maybe doing some follow-up calls. Her name is Emma. So if you hear from Emma, or you want to make sure that you have access to the survey, definitely let us know because we really do want to hear from you. Our work is best done when we understand what your needs are, and this is a great way to share kind of what's going on in your planning world and at the local level. So it does help us inform funding decisions, direct services, how we can then inform our legislators and policy leaders on your behalf as a advocate for you and with you. And it does help also help us understand where we might want to conduct more additional research. So again, really encourage you to take the survey. The link is here. It'll be in the slides when we send those out. So do find 15, 20 minutes of time to help us understand what's going on at the local level in your communities. Another tool that's available that we want to make sure everyone is aware of, particularly as you may be undertaking planning efforts in your community, whether it's related to the work here within DOLA or just local work that you're conducting, we wanted to make sure that we shared that we have this community-driven engagement guide available. Not everyone online does engagement on the day-to-day, so this is an opportunity to see what's kind of new and current and fresh trends, maybe some new ideas that maybe you haven't thought about or haven't thought about lately. So definitely want to make sure you are aware of this resource and just encourage folks to use it. And if you see things in here, or of things that you're doing at the local level in your community that you don't see reflected in this guide, please tell us. This is a sort of ever living document, and we'd love to hear what's working with you in your community to make sure that it's reflected and shared broadly. Because what's working for you could be something that works in another community, another part of the state. So, really want to make sure that you know that this is here. Hopefully, it's useful to you and help us continue to improve it by sharing back with us what's working in your neck of the woods. So, all right. I know that was a lot. I've only got a couple more slides before I hand it over to my colleague Hannah, but just a few updates on our transit-oriented communities work. This is a slide that if you've been here before, you've seen, but this is an overview of the things that we've been undertaking here in 2025. In Back in February, we published final tools related to the housing opportunity goal and transit center modeling. We've got fresh and updated guidance. We've even got some updates today, but the main documentation was available back in February, so hopefully you've had a chance to take a look at that. We've been really active in developing the portal, which you just heard about, so we're really happy to say that we're going to hit that target of the end of May. We continue to consult with and work with and review work related to the housing opportunity goals. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you to those communities that have worked with us or reached out to ask us how we are seeing that work. We will be happy to continue doing that, and I'll have another slide on that here in a second. And then again, thinking about transit center work and some of the upcoming elements with water and strategic growth and neighborhood centers. We would love to continue having those conversations with you. While that information may not really be due until the end of 2026, hey, let's engage in conversation now. And so we're here to support you however we can. So available within the transit-oriented communities section of our website are our guidance documents. We've made some minor updates, and we continue to enhance and refine, sometimes based off of conversations that we have with you all. So definitely come back and check, or periodically come in and download it if you like to keep a copy local. That way you're always working with the latest and greatest and most fresh information. That is also true with our housing opportunity goal calculation tools. We continue to enhance and refine those. So definitely come back and check out on those. We are always, based off of input and feedback, looking for ways to add additional exemptions. You all know your communities at the local level, so we've been hearing and identifying additional exempt parcels and making those minor updates as we go. So as we make updates, we do publish fresh information that's available for you all to download and use. Now, if you haven't downloaded a fresh copy of the GIS information, maybe you haven't done it since maybe the beginning of the year, or maybe it was February timeframe, would encourage you before you engage in this work, if you haven't done so already, to maybe go grab a fresh copy. So again, you're working with the latest and greatest information. Um, we've got our transit center calculation model up, and we've gone through, provided some guidance. We did have a walkthrough webinar that's available for viewing off of our website, as well as the slides associated to that presentation. And as I mentioned a few times, and probably will again a few more, we are here for courtesy reviews and to address or answer questions. And again, thank you to those of you who have reached out with your questions. And our key contact for the GIS information in particular is Kyle Soner. His email address is here on the screen. He's actually online as well in case we have questions related to that. But it's been really awesome to see how many of you are tackling this work and really showing us how you're getting it done. And there's some of you out there that are doing some really cool things, like with creating models and whatnot on I'm getting a little out of my breadth here with GIS, but I'm just seeing some pretty cool things being done to help communities get to their target, their draft target number. So really excited to see that work, and just encourage you to reach out when you have questions. Related to reporting in the portal, we've got some additional things that are now available within the portal. So our preliminary transit-oriented communities assessment report. That report you'll hear a couple of times today is coming up, being due on the end of June. Additional exempt parcels that maybe you find and you want to report those to us in insufficient water supplies form. So those are some additional things that have been added to the portal. If you have questions related to those, definitely reach out to us. We've got a few more forms that are still in the development phase and are coming up pretty soon. That is, input in how the final housing opportunity goal report might look, as well as our optional transit areas form. And we invite those of you who are interested in helping us craft or direct those forms to reach out. Again, we learn a lot when we work with you in partnership. And so really would be reaching out and asking for assistance when we get to developing those forms as well. So thank you for that. Now, you've heard a lot from me, and I'm really excited to pass things over, catch my breath a little bit. So I'm going to invite Hannah Van den Wegen to come online and take things from here.
Thank you, Eugene. And I'm not joking, like 5 seconds ago, someone started jackhammering outside of my house. So please let me know if it gets too loud. But if we could move to the next slide. Okay. So for the timelines, what's most important is that the June 30th compliance date is when this law comes into effect. There's no mandatory reporting requirement, only if a jurisdiction were to enforce or impose the minimum parking requirement, allowing one parking space per dwelling unit. to be used, that particular report's due December 31st of 2026. However, there is no mandatory reporting. When you log into that portal, you might see a minimum parking optional report that truly is optional. It really just helps us with our data collection, but please don't feel obligated to fill that out. Next slide. All right, so some assistance that's available for this particular law. We do have the applicable transit service area map uploaded to the parking minimum webpage. This will really show what areas of your particular jurisdiction are applicable to this law. And if you are looking to amend your zoning code, there's a number of resources also available. There's the DOLA template land development code, which is a great resource for any code amendments anywhere in your zoning code. But also we do have some specific examples uploaded to the parking minimum webpage. On that webpage, we also have reporting instructions, including the form contents that you saw earlier and the form and manner for the exemption reporting. Again, not due until 2026. Most importantly, we are offering courtesy reviews. So if you are amending your code and you just want us to take a quick look to make sure you're on the right path, or if you have any ideas that you want to run past us, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. My email is on that or on the slide, but also you may submit a question or request for technical assistance through our engagement opportunity webpage. And last but not least, we have our best practices study. This will be really helpful if you are looking for guidance in implementing or using that exemption in this law, allowing one parking space per dwelling unit. That does require a parking study to be done, and this will really set you on the right track if that's something you're interested in. And some next steps. Last month, we hosted a best practices in parking management webinar that had a great turnout, and we had some really excellent speakers. We did post the recording and the slides, which we have linked on this particular slide. And soon we will also be posting the parking minimum law template slides. All right, moving on to ADUs. Next slide. This is a brief look at the timeline. Again, the same compliance date applies of June 30th. We are requiring reports for for compliance as well as for supportive jurisdictions, but I'll go ahead and dive into that in the next slide. So how does a jurisdiction become an ADU supportive jurisdiction? Now, it's important to note that an ADU subject jurisdiction is different than an ADU supportive jurisdiction. That can get a little confusing, and we might use both terms, but they do not mean the same thing. So an ADU subject jurisdiction are the ones who are required to comply with law. However, an ADU supportive jurisdiction is one that is voluntarily implementing some supportive strategies that will make a particular jurisdiction eligible for the ADU grant program. So those that are subject to the law that's your minimum, but then those who are not subject to the law or the ones that are may go an extra step to be eligible for that program. So how do you do this? If we could go back. The first step is to submit the ADU compliance report form that's on the portal. That is for subject jurisdictions and those who are wanting to become a supportive jurisdiction. That really just walks you through the requirements of 1152 and shows how your particular jurisdiction is complying with those. Next, you would submit the optional ADU supportive jurisdiction form through that same portal. Your third step is after submitting the subject jurisdiction or the compliance report and the supportive jurisdiction form, DOLA will respond within 90 days, either approving that request or requesting additional information. From there, a jurisdiction has, I believe it's 120 days, but I'll double check, to revise anything or get us that additional information, and then we'll get a re-review going. But once you're approved, the jurisdiction is then eligible for the DOLA's ADU grant program. Now, it's important to note that DOLA's ADU grant program is really meant for local jurisdictions to then implement different programs, which may include supporting residents. However, if you have any residents that are looking for support in constructing an ADU, please direct them to the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority. They do have programs available that are meant to be directly to residents. So when you're becoming an ADU supportive jurisdiction, one of the questions is that if you have implemented one or more of these supportive strategies. I know this is a lot of text, but you don't have to commit it to memory. So if you go to the next slide, we have guidance published on our ADU webpage specific to those strategies. So there are 9 strategies listed, but then also we have potential pitfalls, responses, benefits, how the strategy works, all in this guidance, and can be a huge help or is a resource if you're looking at implementing a portion or several bits and pieces of different strategies. It's just a great resource overall. Next slide. Some assistance that's available for this particular law. Again, if you're looking at amending your code, we do have the template land development code, but also on our webpage, we have some specific examples from various Colorado communities and how they may amend their code. And again, this is not like a set of requirements. Every jurisdiction is different, but this is meant to just provide ideas. On the website, we also have reporting instructions for becoming a supportive jurisdiction, as well as your compliance report. And there is that supportive strategies guidance that I mentioned earlier. Most importantly is courtesy reviews. I've done a number of these already, and I'm happy to continue to review individuals' codes, or if you're just curious if a particular set of language would work or not work, please don't hesitate to email me directly, or you may submit through our DOLA's Engagement Opportunities webpage. Next steps, we do have the ADU toolkit coming soon. So the language has been drafted and it is getting reviewed currently and will be posted, we believe, by early next month. And really what this document does is takes that supportive strategies guidance and just provides every detail you could ever imagine about that particular strategy. I don't know how else to put that. It has in-depth guidance, ideas, templates, and other tools, as well as Colorado case or community case studies to help jurisdictions develop programs and to boost and streamline ADU production. Next, the ADU law template slides are going to get posted soon. And last month, we also hosted a webinar with the Department of Regulatory Agencies, and that was focused towards HOAs. That recording has been posted as well as the slides. So again, if you have an HOA that is reaching out to you with a bunch of questions about this law, you may direct them to this webinar. And with that, I believe I am turning it over to Mark Williams.
Thanks, Hannah. Good morning, everyone. No jackhammering here, at least so far. So hopefully that stays the case. So this is our standard calendar of what's happening with things related to housing planning. In 174, we've gotten and reviewed all of the pre-existing housing needs assessments. That means ones that were done and submitted by the end of last year, and returned those to the different governments. So we're just waiting to hear back from them about those. A couple slides from now, Scott Williamson is here to talk about the second row, new comprehensive plan requirements, specifically natural lands and what's going on there. So I'll just wait until Scott is here to talk about that. And then the last three slides generally talk about displacement risk, affordability strategies. We're working on displacement risk right now. That guidance is due by June the 30th. So we're getting pretty close, and hopefully we can have something up soon for public comment and review. Right now, as of yesterday afternoon, we have some affordability strategies on our website that are up in draft form. And actually, we'll put the link in to get to our housing planning page. So you can go there, and if you have any comments, we'd love to see them. Input's important for our process, and we really couldn't do the job that we do without input from all the different governments around the state. And I just want to mention that we did do also a displacement risk series of focus groups to talk about displacement risk in terms of how that happens in urban areas, rural areas, as it relates to business. And so we're trying to cover as much as we can before we publish that guidance by the end of next month. So here's the latest with housing needs assessments. Don't forget, they're due by the end of next year, December 31st, 2026. And you do need to have a public meeting with your either town, city council, or BOCC. And then props to Archuleta County, Pagosa Springs. They have their HNA reviewed. That's the first one in the state. So good job to Pam Flowers and Jeff Sams down there. So we're starting to also focus on housing action plans as well. There's a much longer lead time for those. Those aren't due until January 1st, 2028. And just distinction I always like to point out in the statute, public meetings for housing needs assessments, but public hearing for housing action plans. So just make sure that you make a note of that. And then generally speaking, HNAs and HAPs can both have a regional focus because of the regional nature of housing markets. Although every jurisdiction that's subject to the HAP law has to have a standalone or an HAP that could serve as a standalone housing action plan that has to go in front of the governing body for their public hearing, but it can be published together with other communities in a way that makes sense, whether that's council of governments or the commute shed for some of the mountain communities. So do whatever makes sense to you and you think will really maximize your approach to impact the housing market. Our HAP guide is up on our website right now for public input. It's going to be up until June the 6th. If you can get comments by June the 4th, we would appreciate it because we do need time to incorporate those comments that we get and publish this guidance by June the 30th. And we're planning on having a housing action plan webinar on July the 31st. So at our June this meeting in June, I'll give you some more information on that, and we should have some links. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Scott.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. Scott Williamson, the Land Use and Water Planner with the Community Development Office. I wanted to tag on one more thing to the housing needs assessment. Several communities have asked if there is statewide data that can be used to calculate the water supply needs in a housing needs assessment. And in consultation with staff at Colorado Water Conservation Board, the recommendation is really to reach out to your local water provider. If you're a county, maybe the few largest water providers, for data around water demand. So really that locally developed, locally gathered data is the most relevant for the housing needs assessment. So that's where DNR staff have directed us at this point. Then moving on to the two statewide reports. First, the statewide strategic growth report. You can see where we are in the timeline there. Our consultants are supporting scenario modeling and policy evaluation at this point. And then I wanted to speak a little bit to the natural land and agricultural opportunities report. And what's contained in that is really those vital landscapes and resources in Colorado that we want to consider at the local level. Senate Bill 174, as Mark mentioned, includes a requirement to consider where applicable and appropriate. So that language is important. This report, as well as the strategic growth report, the water plan, and the local housing needs assessment when developing a comprehensive plan. So consider where applicable and appropriate. And so the report, where the way we're putting it together is really as a planning guide and a toolbox of different tools that can be used at the local level to cover this quite wide-ranging set of topics at the local level, from agricultural land to the ecosystems most in need of protection for hazard mitigation, for example. So we're in the stage right now where we've conducted a local and regional focus group. Thank you for those of you who participated in that. We talked about that last meeting, and we're now analyzing that feedback and compiling the report. We're going to refine the report also with input from the land use survey that Eugene mentioned earlier in the meeting. So again, another plug for that. And then we'll take that out for input from state agencies, focus group participants as well. In the September-November timeframe, we'll start to review that report and have a public review period as we finalize it, in time for a December report to the legislature. Just a few updates there. We'll keep you informed in future engagement meetings. And I will now pass it along to the next presenter, which looks like Mitch.
Thanks, Scott. Okay, so quick reminder, the Housing Planning Grant Program is the first program we'll discuss today. And this program can provide grants to local governments and regional entities to help them better understand their housing needs and to develop actionable and compliant housing needs assessments, housing action plans, and specifically water supply elements and strategic growth elements of comprehensive plans. And this map on the slide is a demonstration of the awardees for the first round of the planning grant program. 11 applications were received, representing 23 jurisdictions, and over approximately $900,000 was awarded in the first round. And each of the awards consisted of some of those eligible expenses. So in the first round, we funded updates to housing needs assessments, brand new housing needs assessments, new housing action plans, and then strategic growth elements and water supply elements of comprehensive plans. And if you're interested in applying for round 2, please know that it opens June 9th and closes on July 11th. So reach out to Ashley Basham. You see Ashley's email on this page. If you're interested in the program and you want to talk a little bit more about that, we can set up a one-on-one or just communicate via phone, email, whatever works best for you. And just going back really quick, the Housing Planning Grant Program website does have a list of the communities who were awarded and a brief description of what the projects were. So next, the Accessory Dwelling Unit Grant Program was created through HB 241152 to provide grants to local governments, specifically ADU supportive jurisdictions, for activities that promote the construction of ADUs, including but not limited to offsetting costs with developing pre-approved ADU plans, providing technical assistance to people converting or constructing ADUs, or waiving, reducing, or providing other financial assistance, such as waivers to ADUs, any associated fees or other required costs. And we recently launched a brief ADU survey that should only take a few minutes and will help us better understand and prepare for the upcoming grant program. We're accepting feedback through June 1st on that. And it's really just to get a sense of what your ADU related challenges are, what you're hoping to see out of the grant program, and anything else that might help us get a sense for the overall demand. And so take a look at the email also in the chat. My email should be in there. If you're interested in helping us set up the program guidelines a little bit later this summer, and or you're just generally interested in becoming an ADU supportive jurisdiction, you can also email Hannah. Email should be in the Zoom chat. Last but not least, the Transit-Oriented Communities Infrastructure Grant Program, or TOKI, was created to assist local governments in upgrading infrastructure and supporting affordable housing in transit centers and neighborhood centers. And we anticipate launching our pilot program of the grant program this fall. So please stay in touch and reach out to me if you're interested. Ashley's email should also be in there. We'll be doing some stakeholdering on the grant program guidelines a little bit later this summer as well. So please be in touch if you're interested at all in this program or you have a project that you think might be a good candidate. Okay, I'll pass it back to Eugene to get us with the wrap up and head into Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you, Mitch. So yeah, we're going to wrap things up here with just a couple more slides and then get to Q&A. So just again, another reminder, we have lots of resources that have been made available for you all. They're arranged and organized by the various laws. I'm not going to read the slide to you. We've covered most of this already during today's webinar. I just really encourage you all, if you're looking for something, wondering about a question, is there a resource? How has someone done this in another part of the state? Check out these resources. And of course, if you don't have time and you really just need something more quickly, reach out to us and we're happy to help. Our contact information will be at the very end of this slide presentation. So just really wanted to make sure that you were all aware that there is an additional opportunity available through Proposition 123. The funding that is available through that particular program is the local planning capacity grants. The application process is open right now, but you only have a week. So if you haven't already started, but you're really thinking this might be of value to you, you do have a week. I know we've got a holiday in the middle of it, but definitely would encourage you all to take advantage of this if it is meaningful or makes sense for your local community. Want to point out that yes, while the application does close next Friday, it closes at noon. So definitely make sure not to take too long taking advantage of this opportunity, because unfortunately we will have to close it at noon next Friday. Some of the projects that are eligible or funding eligible involve our ADU program. So adopting those ADU strategies that Hannah mentioned, or looking at displacement mitigation strategies that Mark mentioned. There's funding that can be allocated or used for helping you understand and calculating your housing opportunity goals, or looking at maybe how to go about looking at neighborhood centers. The funding can be used to help update your codes. So as Hannah mentioned, we're already engaging with many of you on reviewing draft language, whether it be for parking or ADUs. So this could be a way to offset some of those expenses at the local level. And there are other planning eligible opportunities. And we just encourage you to reach out to the Proposition 123 team. You can also reach out to Robin, who is also a great resource on information related to this program. So definitely, if this is something that is of interest to you and you haven't gotten started yet, we just simply encourage you to really get involved as time allows, and that you have until next Friday. As a snapshot and quick overview, because we've covered quite a bit today, particularly related to our 24 laws. When this slide deck goes out to you, you could use this as a nice little reference. On the screen, for those who can see it, is really by law some of the key deadlines. We've covered many of those already today, so I won't go into great detail, but I will say, and I believe Hannah mentioned this as well, with the ADU compliance reporting, if you are a community and you are in the process of compliance, but maybe your local elected officials won't have had a chance to review and approve, or maybe it's on the docket, but it's after the deadline. If you feel that your community is going to satisfy and adopt the accessory dwelling unit changes, maybe it's a week or two, or maybe even 3 or 4 weeks after the deadline, definitely let us know. But if you think it's going to be much longer than that, maybe if it's getting in that 45 to 60 day range, but you are in fact moving forward, we would encourage you to utilize the 6-month extension. It's a form that's available through the portal. Of course, you can reach out to Hannah directly to get more information on that, or to make sure, do I need this? We're in the process. We know it's going to be done in July, maybe early August. And do I need to fill out the form? Just reach out and ask us, and we'll provide you with some guidance. There's quite a bit of information on the screen here, but in the interest of time, we'll just make sure that this is available to you as when we send this out. Now, related to the most immediate deadlines, the June 30th deadlines, there are some key things we did want to point out specifically. So as it relates to the transit-oriented communities milestone of June 30th, we are really excited that many of you have already reached out to us and we've been providing guidance and assistance. But if you're still working on it and you're not really sure if you got everything just so, that's really okay. We encourage you to share with us through the portal where you are, progress in the works, because this is meant to be draft information. So we fully expect that for many of you, you will continue to work on your calculations well after this June 30th deadline. And that's really okay. In fact, you have until the end of next year to actually submit final information. So there is some time built in, but this is really like a good checkpoint. So definitely take advantage of supplying to us where you are in your process on the June 30th deadline so that we can begin that review and analysis process with you. So really definitely take advantage of that. And that's really your preliminary numbers and figures, your approach to the work. So we can see if there are any other additional advantages we can offer, maybe some additional exemptions, along with your zoning map. So definitely take advantage of that. Hannah already mentioned the compliance report that's due for ADUs. And with parking, while there may not be any official or formal requirement, any of you that are doing this work and would like to make sure that you sort of get credit for it, we absolutely welcome voluntary reporting, which is also true for the ADU program. So if you are a community and you are doing this voluntarily and you want us to know about that, absolutely let us know because all the information that we gather from you is really important for us to understand how the laws are being implemented at the local level and also really does help us in our grant analysis, which we're going to get to here in a second. And that does bring us to the executive order that was released a week ago today. The laws that the governor included in the executive order are here on the screen, but it's really related to the residential occupancy, accessory dwelling units, minimum parking, the transit-oriented communities, our affordable housing planning work, and also two new laws that were passed this year. Now, we didn't cover the 2025 laws during today's session, but we do intend to learn more about those laws and bring that to our June webinar. So if you are curious about what the residential building stair modernization means and includes, definitely plan to join us in June and thereafter, because we do intend to share information related to that. And then the regional building code updates as it relates to factory built structures is another new law, just fresh off the press, that we'll be diving a little bit more into in the coming weeks and months. We do have a link to the official executive order that, again, you'll be able to access if you haven't done so already when we send out this presentation. The things that we know and can speak to, because there's quite a bit that is still sort of being understood and digested and figured out between the various different agencies. So we know that many of you might have questions as what does this mean and what does it pertain to? There are about 3 things that we can share today. And of course, when we get to the Q&A section, we'll be inviting our guest, John Moore, to join us to answer any questions that you may have. But there are 3 things, and I'm actually going to read them to make sure I get them exactly right. The executive order, no matter what you may have read or heard in the media, is really meant to have us here at the state and various state agencies really look at establishing priorities. What this is not about eligibility. And we really want to make that distinction clear. So for all of those of you who are in compliance or in the process of, or definitely intending to, this is just a way for us to help prioritize those communities that are really diving in deep on this really important work of advancing affordable housing across our state. So again, this is not about if you're eligible or not. It's really helping us with grant and understanding how to think about allocating direction and supporting communities through a sort of a prioritization approach. What this executive order also does not involve are formula funds or federal funds of grant funds. So if you are the recipient of a formula grant program or federal grant dollars, this executive order does not cover those items. And then the third bullet point that I'm reading here, this executive order is really encouraging DOLA, along with other agencies here at the state, to work with those jurisdictions. Those of you who are already working on this, awesome, and we thank you for that. Those of you who may be on the fence and are still trying to figure out a way forward, but are absolutely engaged with us, we also really appreciate that. I think the order is really looking to recognize those who might fall into somewhat of a gray area, but are absolutely working in good faith in compliance with the laws. Really, this is meant to continue to encourage that level of engagement with us. So hopefully those 3 points help provide a little bit of clarity as much as we can offer today. But again, as we work with our leadership and other departments to understand how to go about sort of adhering to the executive order, we will be sharing and bringing that information back to you. So it's only been a week, so there's not a lot that we have answers to today, but rest assured, as we learn more, we will be sharing more with you. Again, we'll have a moment to maybe field some questions here in just a second. But again, wanted to close the official portion of the webinar by thanking you all, thanking you for taking time on a Friday to be here with us. Here's our contact information. Again, this will be made available to you when we send this information out. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and take the presentation off the screen so I can actually see who's out there, and then we will start our Q&A section. So give me just 2 seconds here to kind of get things going.